Iron Mike Tyson versus the Dragon, Bruce Lee. Two people that have reinvented the entire standpoint for fighting in the genre of either entertainment, the case of combat sports, and just simply as legendary people. They both have inspiration in Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, multiple records in fighting games and adaptations of fighting. They both have set a record for how to do fight scenes. They both are legendary people in different accolades, and they have been a part of multiple different types of extremes of fighting and or debates. If you have an possible argument have been heard when someone talks about how Mike or Bruce would annihilate the other in their individual case of sport or in an equal setting. In today's video, you see by the title, I'm going to be discussing, analyzing, and full-fledged explaining and elaborating on why, as you see by the title and argued by the thumbnail, why Mike Tyson versus Bruce Lee is not close. Now, with this video being said, it's not to disrespect either of the people. They both are legends, both certified profound case of people and artists of fighting in their own individual and unique way. I want to say shout out to Mike for getting in the ring with Jake Paul. You know, Jake Paul, you are fucking lame for getting in the ring with somebody you know is at a prime and way older. Rest in peace to Bruce Lee, a pioneer of finished sports and arguably the realest showcasing of an anime character in real life. My man was built different. Ain't nobody as stylish and dynamic as arguably Bruce Lee. But with this being said though, within this video, the fight's going to be taking place in a street fight. I'm going to be going over both people individually, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, try to be concise and as precise as possible to represent the characters. I hope you guys will enjoy. Like, subscribe, comment, whatever the case may be. And again, let's talk about the people that have reinvented the entertainment, fighting, and all around legendary statements to a whole new extent. Let's go ahead and get it in. Iron Mike Tyson, the Tiger, one of the most beastful, fluid, and hard hitters in the ring, who's infamously family been on this channel losing to two people, a silverback gorilla and John Jones. But unlike those fights where he's in the mix, arguably unfair, not the best sense of matchup for him, in this sense he'll have a more credible and more solid possible capability to win in this sense. And obviously I have respect for Mike. Mike is a beast. He's a dope dude from all different record of accounts. Agree, disagree if you think he's a good person or not, regardless of that. But definitely was a terror, a behemoth, a boulder of a man that could knock you out with the left or right hand. Sheesh! Case of nigga. This man was a black Viltrumite, just a built different individual. Alright, I'm not a hater of Mike, you know, I just try to go ahead and be real, consistent, and give the most honest and possible objective certainty of a scenario of a fight like this. So to go ahead and just keep it short with Mike in his prime, I would estimate within his mentality and actual greatest showcase and defeats would be in the mid 80s to late 80s to early 90s, right? Mike is one of the most greatest punishers, hard hitters, and great, you know, sportsmen of his prime, as he was one of the most fast-hitting and electrifying people with a fighting fury like no other, as this man was able to knock anybody out cold if you gave him the right timing and setup. Fast on his feet, fast with the glutes, and just was kinetic every second of every way. My man had dynamic capabilities when it came down to the capability to be able to rock a man into the stratosphere. My man was in there pulverizing people, an animal. But the main capabilities that this man showcases within his case of, you know, boxing IQ and skill set is being able to in and out, seasonally outbox and slugger polarize a person, poldering for their defense, being able to hit and not get hit very fast, decent record of stamina by multiple credit, and being able to rock with some good, great boxers, great sportsmen, and rocking motherfuckers into next week, as he has a fighting force, you know what I'm saying? I know other, as I've already stated, but his punching power is in the over 1,000 pounds of force, being between over 1,558 pounds of force to over 638, putting him not just in the case of, you know, a high street tier real person, but also putting him in a great sense of the bare minimum C wall level, aka pretty much meaning that he could outpout any motherfucker, you know, he wanted to. My man Mike Tyson is literally Popeye with no cans of spinach needed. Alright, my man is built different. Like I said before, what is being said, no glaze. And his speed, you know, is remarkable. You know, he would be the most fastest elite boxer on a general level, as obviously Mike is a top tier person. He's the youngest heavyweight champion of all time, to be fair. My man is, you know, a very efficient and terrifying person in the ring with accolades and the ridiculous numbers, you know what I'm saying? Being able to get his heavyweight championship back almost with facing very top contenders, and even though out of his prime, you know, he did not do the same great showcase as what he did. He was an elite fighter, and if it wasn't for the case of his, you know, unfortunate father figure's death, the money, greed, absence of some discipline and integrity in those departments, and Don King being one of the most menaces of the industry himself, you know what I'm saying? He arguably could have got to greater heights of his prime. But even without that, Mike has a great record of truly 50-6. No, we do not count Paul. Arguably, we could call it 50-5, but still. But at the same time, you know, Mike himself has said he never thought that Bruce Lee could possibly beat him. And we're going to see how true that stands with the Tiger against the Dragon. But simply put again, Mike is a beast, great accolades of fighting fury, great attack potency and speed, and is definitely one of a kind of the ring, and definitely is in the top 10 greatest heavyweights of all time for being the youngest heavyweight champion there's ever been. But how does he stand against the great, famed, and accolade Dragon? Great Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee is one of the most famed, hailed, and profound martial artists of his time and arguably now. He's reinvented, like Mike Tyson, on different parts of his individual sport or case of fame, but he's done it in a way more higher way. He's inspired countless video game characters, countless characters in fiction, countless iconic real martial artists and fame accolades of entertainment. He was not just a superstar and great fine actor, but he was actually a very crazy, cracked martial artist. His martial arts fame was not on the same sense of level as Mike Tyson, as obviously Mike Tyson competed in actual, you know, sport, and at the same time was more consistently shown of all his record of accolades. But this man Bruce was so famed for his speed that he was told back in the day within the recording equipment of that time that he had to slow down his movements because he was too fast for the camera to try to detect. He was also one of the most efficient, sly, fast, and very quick-witted people when it came down to fighting and his technique. As a real op man that, you know, taught him his martial arts excelment, you know, and got him into the greater accolades of, you know, fame and capabilities, even with this man Bruce being a sense of a bully and a arguable, you know, cheater of his teachings, as he would almost every time try to be solo trained by Op Man and use his skills to basically be the brawler fighting man of any situation that came. This man would be taught in the greatest ways by him, and then with full-fledged extend the bar for his teachings and become basically, again, like I said, a real-life anime character with how much greatness of fighting skill he was. My man was really on some real-life Batman shit, right? With him having sparring footage showing that he's able to blitz a person like an anime character, even with his legs being crossed, being, again, very efficient and quick-minded when it came down to his movement and martial arts speed. This man is able to go ahead and beat people that have mixed credibleness and different martial arts criteria, like basically perception blitzing, a karate master, being able to outdo people in different measurements of speed, having all type of profound hail and credibility by different people, saying that Bruce Lee was the most out-of-the-box, unorthodox, quick, hammer home to you that he's the type of guy that your government tells you not to worry about type of individual. But because of the fact that Bruce Lee, half of his accolades come from just, you know, stories and, you know, respectable hail, and it simply put was in a time where there wasn't as much camera recording or much of his feats and accolades written down, he wasn't actually the greatest showman of actually what he could do. And besides him being, you know, in the sparring footage that was obviously taken when he was teaching someone, you know, he was over here teaching people back in the day a little bit of what he could do. You know, he was a sense of sensei, you know what I'm saying? He was getting tagged, obviously, by one of his students in one of his sparring footages, but it isn't actually him fighting full-fledged, and simply put, Bruce Lee was testing what his student can do when it came down to the case of, awareness and reaction, not actually incredibility of speed and all those accolades, but because Bruce Lee multiple times has showcased that he is beyond the comprehension of most different general people, putting his speed, arguably, you want to stretch, to the highest end with what people have said about him, to be beyond the human eye, aka faster than the eye can see, arguably putting him in the subsonic case of speed, basically saying that he's as fast as a fucking arrow with speed, and at the same time, author statements and different things that you can perceive to be true or not. He actually has accolades that could put him as being one of, if not the greatest martial artist to ever live on the planet, as this man would extend the bar for any other case of UFC, MMA, or just famed fighter on the planet, as my man has accolades that he's so fast that nothing could actually detect him generally on recording unless he was holding back. The fact that he's able to pierce 2 metal cans of Coke back in the day, imagine what that would do to your throat. And the words of the program, that man's kind of weird fuck nigga, right? Even though that is a very minor case of thing, but his true highest case accolade of AP or fighting theory is the record that this man was able to curve a 2,000-pound sandbag mid-air with a sidekick. And it might not sound too wild, but you have to understand that depending on the case of the sidekick they did, as his iconic one was a lightning fast, straight pauldron spear sidekick, a sense of half-sense nudge. And if he was able to do that and basically horsepower pierce a sandbag and curve it mid-air, a sandbag is one of the most hardest pounding sandbags ever, especially when you see different recordings or accounts of his actual fighting fierceness and arguable, technique. He isn't actually a formidable striker. He's a mix-up striker that is a lot more broad and very mix and batch, fighting. He is a very elusive fighter, if you wanted to say about his, battle IQ, but he is not actually a strong form fierce striker and pound for pound capability. He is none of those things. He has none of those substance matters to actually say, he's actually in that criteria. So when you hear that feat and compare to actual consistency and reasonable storytelling and all the accolades of that, Bruce Lee is kind of absent of those actual criterias or scale, because simply put, he's not on any of those records. He's not on any of those accolades, because he simply put is not, actually a trained elite fighter on those records. This is not to go ahead and downform Bruce Lee's stuff or disrespect him. Bruce Lee is a legend, arguably the god of martial arts. But he is objectively, just if we're trying to compare consistently and break the characters down in a realistic sense, power scaling sense, would not be on the same accolades as Mike, because none of that can be proven, and it's a very much outlier and wake statement. If you take those statements and all these claims at face value, then he would be pushing the extent of a arguable Rocky or Ivan Drago level fighter, where he could hypothetically one-shot any man on the planet with his kicks alone. That's some Batman level martial arts in full effect, alright? That's arguably the most wild, flamboyant scale to give him. And then his speed, which you can arguably say he does actually have this, he could actually outdo Mike Tyson. There's an argument that he can never actually be that much more proficiently and precisely, and even suffice to say, outscale speed-wise to Mike Tyson, where it would outdo a tank like, you know what I'm saying? His martial arts prowess, from multiple credit of Kung Fu, Judo, Taekwondo, Karate, arguably Silat, and different mixed martial artist practices, would outdo arguably the Iron Mike Tyson, but this would not sting so much more that would deliberately destroy and saw him apart. So when it comes down to the actual conclusion of the fight, if you take the more highball statements, Bruce Lee is not only, even at his weight class, being 150 to 60 something pounds in comparison to Mike Tyson, who's between 230 to 245 to 50 pounds, solid heavyweight, youngest heavyweight champion to ever live, impregnable defense, impetuous will, and great A ding power, the fucking epitome of boulders hitting you. This man got cannonballs for fist. this man would be able to literally spear him through the gut, kill him hypothetically, or just curve his stomach in and make him flop like a fish, or just be so much more faster that he can tag him and switch up on him. It could actually pull what Op Man almost did to Mike Tyson in Op Man 3. But in realistically, I see him being bare minimum faster, and Mike being able to push past any possible capabilities of his mixed martial arts prowess, and being able to simply move and adapt, and eventually bing him so hard he could possibly knock his whole head off, or simply put, knock him out of commission to the point where he would actually give Bruce Lee a possible dose of CTE. As Mike, even though not being able, to possibly full counter all these capabilities, he never has other experience against someone of mixed martial arts prowess, and even though he has had some street, experience, maybe not the same accolade as Bruce Lee, he has had this experience and might know how to counter it eventually from being able to adapt in the ring and decently posture himself in his prime. And I think that simply put, any leg kicks, head kicks, or any pivot of that, Mike will eventually be able to guard up, press on, or hype, like Grinch, sneak this man with a punch, or simply being able to clinch grapple and slap this man out of commission to the point where, in the mix of being on the ground or any possible scenario where Mike gets to unload, he will just be bulletin boarding this man, Bruce Lee, and eventually just iron fist, kaboom, bow, this man out of commission. It would be like fucking All Might trying to hit like a Flash variant that is not that fast, and eventually he will just slap him out of commission, and it would just be dungy for him. There's nothing he could possibly do. So, yeah. That's my opinion, though. What do you guys think? If you guys disagree, tell me why in the comments down below. If you can be, try to be respectful about it, but regardless, that's my opinion. If you disagree with this video to the fullest and you actually want to go ahead and understand my worldview a little bit more, I'm down to debate with my borrowed Discord being RP King at 3124 or RP King 3124. We can discuss it in the comments. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I can't wait to go ahead and see you guys in the next one. Peace out, mommy. Love ya.